Good afternoon to everybody. As everybody's getting connected to their audio, we'll give it a moment or so before we get into the formalities and the festivities for the afternoon. But welcome to everybody to this interesting live panel discussion with some of our old farts, coaches who've been around with us the longest. And I say that as a sign of respect, really, an endearing term, because not only have they've been with us for a decade and more, they've all become, friends and very close colleagues. So we're going to get to hear, a little bit more about them and about their story and their journey. And especially for you that are sitting there as friends of Action Coach, or maybe saying, well, I've been on the database for a while, I'm considering this, or maybe I'm considering this brand new. And then there's a number of you joining that have been around and are really looking at making a life shift, a life change. It doesn't help to listen to me and the theory of the business. It's much better to really connect with the real people. And our slogan, obviously, Action Coach Business Coaching, the world's #1 business coaching firm, but real people, real results. And I think as we go through the afternoon, you'll definitely experience that these are real people delivering real results for themselves, their clients, and their communities. But I think it's the story behind each individual that's the most important. So thank you for investing your time. It is our only and #1 finite resource. So we will respect that. We will finish on time, but there will also be time for some Q&A. So don't wait till the end. If you've got a question, type it into the chat box. We'll address them, some of them as we go along, and then some of them as we get to the end of the session. So we're going to try and do all of that within the hour and keep it fresh. So maybe just to kick us off, I'm going to start with a quick poll. For those of you that are joining live on Facebook, you can just click on the relevant one. For those of you that are listening through Facebook Live, you can just type it in to the chat box. So let's get a sense of where everybody's coming from. All the provinces in South Africa are listed there. And if you're outside of South Africa, you can obviously also click that box. So let's see where everybody's from. And so far, KZN definitely ruling the roost. It's also interesting that all 3 coaches that will be with us this afternoon are based in KZN. And that's going to be an interesting point that we will pick up on, because this surprises KZN people probably more than most. But KZN is from day one in South Africa. And that's now May this year, already 15 years in the making, has always been our most successful province from day one, and still is. And not by a slight margin, by a quite significant margin. So we'll definitely talk about that. So we got one coach who's just struggling a little bit with good old technology to get in, Trevor. He's going to join us soon. He's based in Westville. Marlene used to be in Westville. She's now moved up the highway, further up the highway. Marlene is our longest serving coach in Action Coach Southern Africa. She's been with us since August 2008 already. So when I say old fart, if the shoe fits, that's the reality. And the new kid on the block is Shirley. And Shirley, although lives in Greytown, Shirley operates out of Durban North. And Shirley will also this year be with us for 10 years. So you've got a wealth of experience coming at this business from very different angles, which I think is going to be very useful for you. So let's get straight into it. So I'd like to start with you, Marlene, if we can. Honor the respect of the elders. You came to this business like a lot of individuals do. You had a corporate career. You were commuting between Durban and Johannesburg. So maybe before we talk about why you stay in the business, why did you get into the business in the first place? Why did you leave your cushy corporate job and start your own business as an Action Coach, business coach?
Well, I didn't realize it was a cushy job until I moved into Action Coach, and then found out I actually have to work hard now, when I thought I was working hard. But besides that, I've just basically got to a crossroads in my life. I mean, I stayed in the short-term insurance industry my whole working career because my dad told me not to go into insurance. So I did, of course, to prove him wrong. But 27 years later, I just really got to a crossroads. My son was a teenager, husband was working. He had his own business. And I got an opportunity to go to Trevor. Always wanted to be at head office and be with the big boys and all of that. So eventually I worked my way there and got an opportunity to be there. And after a couple of months, that's how short it was. After a couple of months, I thought, what the hell am I doing there? You know, this is not fitting with me. I'm not at home with my family. I commuted backwards and forwards by traveling between Durban and Joburg. And I one day just driving on the freeway up to Joburg, leaving home and thinking, if anything, God forbid, happened to me and I got knocked over by a truck, because there was a close shave that one day, I thought, who is actually going to make the time to come to my funeral? And I remember as I thought of that, I got hold of my husband. I said to him, I'm just letting you know that I'm resigning tomorrow. And he said, all right, so where are you going to go? I said, I have no clue where I'm going to go. I said, but I'm leaving tomorrow. And I did. I handed in my notice. I couldn't believe it. Handed in my notice. And that same day, I went to Woolies to go and buy something. And I never buy magazines. Found the Entrepreneurs magazine, and they're looking for a coach. And I thought, gee, this sounds like quite fun. I think I would like to be a coach, because I'd just been on a year program with the UCT in Cape Town. And I was introduced to coaching, and I thought, hang on a sec, yeah, I think I'm going to try this. 3 months later, I'm now became an action coach and own my own franchise. So that's pretty much how that journey happened.
And that's now, since 2008 already. So
yeah.
Unbelievable journey, and we'll unpack a little bit more of that. Shirley, you'd already tasted entrepreneurship. You had your own labor consulting business. You were in the thick of struggle and trouble, unions and negotiations and a lot of people. And you thought, well, instead of focusing on that part, let's, focus on business as a whole. So what was it for you to change from, what was really comfortable and what you were really good at, what you knew, and said, no, let me rather leave that and become an action coach?
So I was introduced to Action Coach. A client of mine actually went to a presentation that Brad did, I forget how long ago, when he was out. So it was about 12 years ago. And she sent me an email saying, I think you'd be good at this. Anyway, one day I was sitting at my desk. And in those days, Action Coach had quite a lot of branding around sport. I thought, oh, I like sport. I wonder what this is. And that's sort of what started the journey. And I really got to a stage where my labor consulting business was strong, but I needed to take it to the next level. And I had the choice of taking that to the next level or going coaching. And I just felt like I'd done it. I'd just done labor relations for years. I can do it in my sleep. It's, I understand it. It's an easy space for me. And I've always enjoyed it, but I'd lost the heart of it. And I just love the idea of the variation. I mean, I've always been in business. I've always had, I think I last earned a salary check in 93. I've only ever really had one employer. So I'm probably unemployable. So I love the entrepreneurial space. So that's been fantastic opportunity coaching, just to have the variety of businesses that we work with. So with that becomes the variety of personalities and the variety of challenges. So it's so dynamic. So it's awesome work.
Yeah, and I think you use the word unemployable. I think a lot of coaches come to this business because maybe they were actually unemployable, stuck in a job. And once you've been doing this for a long time, you realize you definitely are unemployable and can't go back. So this business is easy to fall in love with. You make a difference. It's stimulating. You meet different people, engage with nice people. It's challenging. You're using your experience, all those good things. But let's not just focus on the good things. What makes this business hard? So Marlene, for you, 14 years in, you've had lots of ups, you've had lots of downs, you've had bumps in the road, you've had ultimate highs, and there've been struggles. What about this business is the dark side, the negative or the harder part that you've experienced?
Well, I just laugh about that, because I remember when I first started Action Coach in August, by January, I was like ready to throw in the towel. And the only reason why I didn't throw in the towel is because I invested all this money into Action Coach. I thought, well, stuff it, I'm not going to get my money back, so I might as well make this work. And what it was quite interesting. I was very successful in my corporate life. And coming into Action Coach, I haven't grown up and had entrepreneurial blood or DNA in me. I am an employable person. I'm very diligent, committed, get the job done, prove to everyone that I can do it. So I was never scared of doing that. Having gone on my own, I think then I realized that when I went into Action Coach, I thought I got clients with Action Coach. I didn't realize I had to find my own clients. So for a whole year, I was fortunate to be coaching the company that I had left for a year. So I was pretty comfortable until I got that little letter that says, sorry, we're not going to outsource this function anymore. And I thought, oh my God, now what am I going to do? I'm going to have to go and find some clients here. How am I going to do this? And you make it work. And I think that's where the beauty is that if you love what you do, you're going to make it work. Once I started an Action Coach, there was no turning back and saying, right, I'm going to work for someone else. So I'm going to make this work. So it was lucky that there was an investment, enough of an investment to keep me in. So I was called Mrs. Perturbation, and those who are clients or been around with Action Coach know what that means. And this perturbation is, oh my God, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make this work? But what it does, it's like your bumps and bruises along the way, and that's how you learn. But I think what kept me going as well is I knew what the struggles were to get clients on board. And I was very fortunate that every time I sat in front of a prospect, I was able to close, because I didn't like to sit in front of prospects. So I had to make sure I closed them. So that worked well for me. I had a high conversion rate. But working with clients and seeing the results that they were getting gave me the energy to push forward and to make it work. And also I felt that I had to make this work, because if I want my clients to get their businesses to work and be successful, I needed to be successful. So it worked very well for me. But yeah, I struggled, and a lot of it is not about the work at hand, how to do coaching or how to get results. That wasn't the problem, because we have the systems to prove and know that those results work. But it's the mindset and the belief and the responsibility of having that client and their business in your hands, and they're looking to me to coach them to achieve the results and the goals that they're looking for. So it was that pressure for me, whereas now I'm in my flow. So I understand business. I understand what we're trying to achieve as a coach to the client. And when I had that clear understanding, it just made it easier. But it is tough. I mean, the responsibility is there for the client, but it is just so rewarding when we know that we've got the toolbox and we know what tools to give each one of you, depending on what your frustrations, challenges, or goals are. So we've got the confidence and backing of that. It's just now to see the actual outcomes that gives the confidence to keep going and pushing forward. And you have to have those bumps in the road, because that just makes you learn and grow and develop and evolve to become even greater and move from a good coach to a great coach, and move your clients from being good entrepreneurs to great entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of authenticity and congruency there, but it's also, anything you try, no matter what you've done in the past, good old Gladwell's 10,000 hours, anything new is going to take the same amount of effort. So before I go back to you, Shirley, and ask you the same thing, I see Trevor has managed to join us. So to take it one step back, for you, Trevor, you were in Dubai. And as I try and spotlight Trevor, let me just get him up here again. There we go. Trevor, you were in Dubai and in the Middle East. You spent a lot of time there. You were MD of a marketing company, and you came back to deep, dark Africa, and not just Africa, to Durban. What were you thinking? Why did you leave the cushiness of the Middle East and come back to South Africa to become an action coach?
Deepest, darkest Durban, eh? Yeah, thanks, Harry, for the question. And just a quick one, just apologies to everybody. We had to log on late. Our entire neighborhood's internet crashed, and we've been frantically trying to get into the call for the last 15 minutes. So sorry about that. But yeah, a great question, why coming back? And I remember it's a question I'd been asked when I bought the franchise and told my contacts in the Middle East that I was leaving to come back to South Africa. Like, what on earth are you doing that for? But in fairness, you say the cushiness of the Middle East, it was definitely not cushy out there. I think that's the one thing I learned in my time overseas. I was 10 years in the Middle East. I lived in Saudi Arabia, then in Bahrain, and then 5 years in Dubai. And one thing I did learn, I never immigrated. I took a 2-year contract as a GM in a position there. And I loved being part of the international community. You're going out and, your friends, you go to dinner and there's a couple of Lebanese people, a couple of Germans, a couple of maybe Saudis, a couple of Australians, a couple of Americans, Germans, South Africans, and everybody's kind of sharing notes and getting to know one another. And what was funny is everybody would tell these horror stories of their country back home, and the Germans would tell the stuff that's happening back in Germany, and And you realize, and that was the biggest thing for me, and I'd lived overseas previously as well in Europe, is I'd always been very clear on that, is the grass always does seem greener elsewhere, you know, and I was very, very comfortable with the fact that there's no perfect place. Everybody's got issues, it's just different issues. And the one thing I found is that most of the people in Dubai from other countries preferred Dubai to their home country, whereas most of the South Africans would rather be back in South Africa. Most of our South Africans overseas I found were either economic refugees, you know, kind of across to make some money, recovering from a divorce, I don't know, maybe recovering from who knows what, but people would rather, or, you know, just worried about crime and things, people would rather be back in South Africa. We've got something really special in this place. Yeah, a long answer to a short question, Harry.
Yeah, brilliant. And yeah, I had a UK action coach and his wife joined me for lunch today in Stellenbosch, and we were sitting out looking at this beautiful environment we have. Of course, he's busy melting because when he left home in Harrogate, it was -2. And I said, you know, another tough day in Africa, but somebody, I suppose, has got to live the good life. So back to the question previously around what makes this business difficult. What have you found to be the challenge or the struggle? What is it for you, Shirley? Other than, of course, you live actually in Greytown and work from Durban North, the personal sacrifice on the business side. What have you found to be the challenge?
So I mean, it's a startup. I mean, it's backed by a franchise and IP and, you know, just so much support. So you've got that advantage, but it's a startup essentially. I mean, my unique situation was that I didn't have a network in Durban. I'd always traveled. I've traveled to South Africa doing my work before. So I thought, oh, easy, I'll just pop down through the shore camp, pop out in Durban and get coaching, you know, and I kind of underestimated how important building the network was. So that was unique to mine. You know, headspace always plays a role when you're learning. You know, you've got some of the skills, you're learning some more, but then you're learning coaching, you know, so it's not just about knowing about business and how to run businesses and the best way to position businesses, etc., etc. It's about the skill of coaching, which is a very unique skill, and really takes a lot of practice because it's not necessarily a natural way of interacting. So, you know, that coaching skill itself needs to be honed. So I think that those are, you know, some of the challenges that present. And then, of course, business coaching is a new concept in South Africa. You know, it's more established elsewhere in the world, so people have heard about it, more people participate in it. And, you know, South Africans, they've sort of got a bit of the Viking going, you know. It's like if their business isn't doing well, we'll just keep going, you know. And there's a certain amount of ego and concern and misunderstanding of business coaching. So, you know, some people feel that it's for ailing businesses, where we really, as you know, try and stay away from ailing businesses because we get better results out of the A team than we get out of the B team, like any coach would. So the market is a big market, but it's still a cold market. So that gives us, as from a business perspective, a lot of huge amounts of opportunity, but obviously the challenges that present it. So I think that, you know, as the market gets to understand business coaching and the benefits and what it brings to the business owners, we'll find more people seeking out it, being more open to it, and that should also assist in it. So I think that was sort of, you know, the main kind of challenges around it.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, luckily we've been doing this now globally since 1993, but in South Africa for 15 years. And 15 years ago, people never heard the word business coach. Today, people have heard the word, but they either have got no idea what it means or what it does, or they think they've had a business coach until they experience what it is that we do. And they say, well, I don't know what I had before, but it definitely wasn't this. But I think the nature of the entrepreneur is that, you know, these boxes that we carry around in our pocket, we will Google anything and everything except how to fix our business, how to fix our cash flow, how to work with our team, how to go to the next level, how to deal with ourselves, how to gain management and leadership skills. We don't consult Google or good old YouTube for that, yet we do for everything else. So whilst the opportunity is there, you still have to go hunt and fish for it. On the client side though, Trevor, maybe if we ask you, you know, you've had so many different clients, so many different industries, good people, you know, not so great people, good industries, bad industries, booming economy, you know, dying economy. On the client side, though, what frustrates you most about, working with the clients? Because we work with people. We coach businesses, but people run businesses. So you're coaching people. What frustrates you there?
Yeah, 100%. We've coached, oh gosh, we tried to put our finger on it a while ago, 12 years in any industry we haven't coached yet, so, and to varying degrees of success. Frustrations for me, I would say, is sometimes you find some clients that are quite happy not achieving results, where you're pushing people and like you can see all this lovely potential in the business and people going like, yeah, well, do I really want the success? Do I really want to? So very often people that aren't seeing the full potential of the business, that's sometimes a frustration. And but you have to, as a coach, you've got to be comfortable with that, because it's the client's business. They've got to decide what their goals are, and you coach them to their goals. Some people are perfectly happy to grow 20% or 30%. If that's the goal, that's fine. But then obviously you get some people that are wanting to open national franchises and open branches overseas and shoot the lights out. So, which is great. Those are the guys that are such a pleasure to coach. So that's one frustration, is people that don't really see the potential of what it can do. But obviously that's, again, the coach's job to help people see the potential. And another frustration would be, an action coach, and those of you that are looking at the franchise, Harry's probably shown you the depth of the system. We've got tools, templates, training videos, you name it, in so many areas of the business. We could, in theory, coach clients for the client's lifetime, and they still won't have got through the whole system. Even as coaches, Marlene, who's been around even longer than me, and some of our coaches in Australia that have been going for 26, 27 years, will tell you they still haven't unpacked the entire Action Coach system. That's how deep it is. And I've got clients I've been working with now for 11 or 12 years, and others that kind of just do 6 months to a year. I go, that's fine. And that can sometimes be a frustration, where people have only just kind of scratched the surface of what they could learn, and only just scratched the surface of what their business could do, and go, well, that's fine. That's all I want. And again, that's something that people must decide for themselves where they want to take their businesses. But I think to answer your question, untapped potential, I think that would be the key frustration.
Agreed. We all like to do 20 push-ups, but once we've done one, we're quite happy to stop there. And the coach can see the potential for us to do 20, help us get there. And even if we're really active, we'll maybe do 5 and then we'll stop. And I always have to laugh when coaches speak, because we are spoiled. And if you picked up what Trevor was talking about there, the lazy client who doesn't really want to grow, who, is happy with 20, 30%, and we frown upon them. And it's sad, because that's what we think is a lazy client. If somebody's growing 20, 30%, like, geez, why are you so lazy? We see so much more potential. But it is about the process, obviously, to get there. So let's get a little bit into the topic at hand. It was titled, Why I Stay an Action Coach. Marlene, obvious to start with you. August 2008 was a long time ago. We've gone through global financial crisis. We've gone through Jacob Zuma. We've gone through COVID, and you're still here. Why on earth are you still here doing what you're doing, and arguably at a much higher level than you've ever done it before? What keeps you here?
It fulfills me, and I don't know if someone like sloppy or all of that what it is, but it's so rewarding. It's like quality of life. This coaching that I do, I live what I coach my clients to enjoy. I'm able to put the oxygen mask on me. I'm able to have quality of life. I'm able to enjoy the finer things in life. Where can I get that anywhere else? Coaching is, I don't know, I just can't understand. It works both ways. It's a win-win for the clients and a win-win for me. So when they are successful, I'm successful. When I'm successful, they're successful. So there's this great sort of synergy between the clients and ourselves, and the confidence that, you just learn every single day. I'm learning something new all the time. Every time I bring a new client on board, I learn something new, and then it helps refuel me to impart new learnings to my clients. There's a question that came through from Monique about how long you coach for. You coach for as long as you have a business, because if you don't, If you stay stagnant, you die. So you either grow or you die. So we've got to keep you moving forwards, And when Trevor talks about, you get to a stage of 20, 30%, I'm fine, because you're far better off than you ever were before. But why do I stand, and I was saying to you, Harry, the other day, is that I can't see myself doing anything else. I mean, I always long to retire, but why would I want to retire? I'm just enjoying everything that I'm doing. I'm in my flow with coaching and with Action Coach. And it's also, I'm not alone. I've got my own time, but I've also got Action Coach community. If I'm feeling lonely, I can listen to testimonials. If I want to learn something new that's come through, I'll go onto the Action Coach team site and see new things. So there's always engagement at all spheres of coaching. And I know sometimes it's just one way for a business owner or entrepreneur. They only have themselves and their business, and they've got to deal with their own frustrations and challenges of trying to achieve goals. With us, we have everything, external and internal. And we have choices, and all those choices are positive choices. There's no difficulty to get onto the system, difficulty to get an answer from someone. Those are not there. So we can actually perform to our full potential as coaches. And we don't come across as stressed or anxious with our clients. So it actually helps. And I can't see myself doing anything else. This is me. I'm happy. We have choices of whether we work from an office or whether we work from home. We have choices whether we do it virtual or if we do it face-to-face. You know, we can choose the model that we want. How many group coaching versus one-on-one? We have choices. And I think that's the big thing is, and we can have a proactive approach to our business as business coaches. Whereas when I'm coaching clients, a lot of it is trying to put out fires. And it's how to transition them across to say, we don't have to put out fires anymore. We can put measures in place so that we can actually have a predictable business. And I always remember them saying, business must be boring so you can enjoy the other finer things in life. And be predictable, make you lots of money and give you lots of time. What more can you ask for? And that's the beauty of it. I mean, I know with COVID 2 years ago, I remember sitting there and thinking, just what's going to happen now? I mean, where am I going to go? I'm not going to go back to mainstream. I'll never go and work for somebody else again. I'll never generate the lifestyle or the income or anything other than where I am here. And when I see how hard some of my clients work for very little profit because of the type of industry they're in. So we have the pleasure of enjoyment and making money, which also financially future-proofs me. So I'm independent as well, and I can have choices in life. So that's why I could never see myself doing anything else. And like I say, it's flexible in what you do. If I want to coach this type of industry or these type of clients, I can. I'm not dictated to on how I run my business and my franchise. As long as I stick to the rules of the game and work towards our goal vision and our 14 points of culture. And that's what drives me as well, as those 15 points of culture and the value system of Action Coach. I can't get that anywhere else. I've been around the block for many years. And this ticks all the boxes. And there's no word of a lie, it ticks all the boxes. The only challenge I had was getting clients in front of you and closing the clients. And we get taught that and we practice it all the time with our clients. So we get better as well.
Yeah, so Marlene, you know, for those of you that don't know, you signed an initial 7-year kind of franchise agreement. August this year, Marlene will be renewing for the second time. And by the sounds of things, Marlene, you and I are stuck together forever. So you're going nowhere, anywhere, anytime soon.
Sorry, Harry.
Not necessarily a bad thing. You know, if you ever come to an Action Coach conference, you'll see that in particular these two ladies here do a really good Zulu dance. So only after midnight. Only after midnight, not before. Shirley, you know, a little bit behind Marlene in tenure, but not in experience and passion and commitment. And in fact, whilst Marlene has built a very niched individual business and gone fully virtual, given up the office, you know, living the dream out in, let's call it rural Durban, in her new forever home. You've chosen a very different route, and you're building a team, you're bringing your second coach on board. And that comes with different challenges of managing team and, you know, providing for them. Yet you're more passionate and more committed than ever before. Again, simply, why?
Well, I love what I do. I mean, if you don't, you probably, you wouldn't be doing it. So it's, it's all of the things that Marlene said. It's just so rewarding. And from a personal point of view, the journey is a continuous level of growth that is just, I mean, I can't imagine in another job that requires a level of personal growth. So that brings huge amounts of fulfillment. I also really believe that it's the only way we're all going to stay in South Africa. Sorry, South Africa has, increasing unemployment. And as your unemployment goes up, your social, starts, we saw it in July. There was a glimpse of what was inevitable and is, again, I think, inevitable unless we find a way to actually employ our people. And I am a firm believer that the only way that's going to happen is through private business. And so I love doing what I do. I'm good at doing what I do, actually backed with ActionCOACH. So we know how to grow businesses. So for me, if I'm going to make a contribution to the world around me, I'm going to do my jolly best to grow as many businesses as possible. And I can't do it on my own. So it's awesome. I've got all my colleagues at ActionCOACH that are doing it. And I'm going to bring on as many coaches as I can to do the same, because we need a lot of businesses. And we need to build that, so that's kind of why I've gone the route that I want to go, because I can't just there's a level to which the numbers I can take, whereas with a team I can have a far greater impact in terms of what I want to achieve. So that's why I've gone the route of actually building a team, bringing on more coaches, so that we can build a strength to actually keep moving it forward.
Yeah, and remembering what seems to be a very long time ago, it wasn't, the looting and the rioting. I remember one of Marlene's clients on a session that we did, and we did a lot of work. KZN coaches were unbelievable in the support that they gave their clients through that trauma. And a client asking me, he said, well, Harry, how do we ensure this doesn't happen again? I said, I guarantee you, if we don't employ more people, it will continue to happen. And the only people who are going to employ more people is us. And it was a group of business owners. Corporates and the government actually need to get rid of people, and will continue to get rid of people for the rest of my life. I have no doubt about that. And probably the lives of my kids too. So we only have one challenge in South Africa, that's unemployment, and only private business is going to fix that. So, definitely something that pulls us together, and very committed. So Marlene is a bit of a hard ass, very direct, very soft heart behind the scenes, but, quite forceful on the front end. Shirley's, she doesn't like the word old, but she's the wise old sage, and become that in her role in the business. Trevor's Mr. Nice Guy, Trevor's just the nicest person you can meet. Great to have a beer with. We'll give you the shirt off his back. And Trevor, you've had every iteration. You've been in a firm, you've had a firm, you've been on your own, and there's been some interesting, detours along your life plan. But going from December 2009, even before the World Cup euphoria, and we're now 2022 and you're still here. Again, maybe from your perspective, what keeps you here engaged, doing what you're doing, still within the same business of ActionCOACH?
I've absolutely no idea, Harry. No, I'm joking. That's a good question. No, but a good question. It's why do we do what we do? And I think Marlene touched on it earlier. You can structure this business however you want to. Like she says, you can offer, and we've seen it with coaches around the world, is you get some clients, some coaches that only do one-to-one coaching, some coaches that only run workshops and training, some coaches that actually just host networking breakfasts under the ActionCOACH umbrella. So you can structure the products and services that resonate with you, that you get the best results with your clients, but also you can structure the business in any way that you want. And, when I came back from overseas, it was, I'd always been looking at businesses for years, as you know, and I'd always been wanting to buy a franchise. I'd always wanted my own business. I was a shareholder, a co-director of a business overseas. But I'd always been visiting franchise exhibitions. I was a big believer in franchising. And back then I wanted to get into the food game, like a Mug and Bean or a Nando's or something like that. They were prohibitively expensive, but having coached many businesses in hospitality and the food game, I know very clearly I'm not cut out for that. So I'm glad I didn't go down that route. I think it would have been a spectacular failure. What I love with this business, I discovered Action Coach. You were advertising in, I think it was Entrepreneur Magazine, and I saw the business and read about it and thought, wow, I'd worked with coaches before. I'd never thought of becoming a coach. And it's been exactly that, is because I had that choice. I was looking at a couple of different opportunities, two job opportunities in Johannesburg, as well as business opportunities to set up. And what I loved with this is where a lot of people say, don't go into your own business, the risk is too high. I was always quite the opposite. I thought, if I'm coming back to South Africa, the risk of being an employee is going to be even higher, because it was my ex-wife and I and my 2 children. My daughter was 2 years old and my son was literally 1 month old. So a big step to go back to South Africa that was still in a tricky, actually a less tenuous position back then than it is now, I believe. And then going back to a country I hadn't lived in for 9 years, but also starting my own business. But I firmly believe that by having your own business, you actually have a lot more security, because you can make your own weather. You can, whereas you have a job, you could get retrenched tomorrow. The company could go insolvent tomorrow. And those of you that have worked in the corporate space, there's all that there's that corporate dynamic where you have a new boss that gets brought in that doesn't like you, or you get targeted, and those corporate assassinations and things like that can happen. And I was just never a corporate animal. So I believed it would be a lot safer having my own business. And so this really appealed. Why I'm still here also, we're a global business, so the business has evolved with me as my needs have changed, as my life has changed, from big firms to on my own, then growing a firm, and now I've gone back to a small, lean and mean operation again. And you've got that ability to flex and turn the businesses into whatever it is that you want it to be. So it's a business that can change with your needs. But the other key thing for me is that it's a global business. I loved being overseas. I loved the global community of friends from around the world. And I've lived overseas before. And so coming back, I was always worried about, what do you say, Durban in particular. Durban can be a bit of a village, and I say that with love, because I do love Durban. But joining Action Coach it's a global business. We're a global brand. We're the world's #1 coaching firm. We shout about that from the rooftops. And over the years, 11 years now, I've made friends around the world. We do our global conferences where we meet up in different countries every year. Some of my best friends are in this business. Sadly, I only see them face to face once a year when we get, actually, the last 2 years, we've only seen each other virtually. But, coaches that trained me, coaches that I've done a lot of work with, and coaches that I've trained, having trained new coaches as well. And the friendships, so not just the friendships that you build in this business, but the support you get. You don't just get support locally, you get support from people overseas as well. So that's a key thing for me as part of the global team.
Okay, so let's maybe deal with some of the questions coming through, and thanks for typing them in. And if you've got some more, please type them in. So Hiram's got an interesting question. He says, it would seem perhaps counterintuitively that there is more than enough entrepreneurs out there for a thriving Action Coach business. Is that true, or are you fighting for work? So I think, Marlene, for your 13 and a half years that you've been in this business, Trevor has been literally down the road for 11 and a half of those years. So, Marlene used to have an office above the KFC in Westville, and Trevor literally across the highway just a little bit further down. If you really had a strong arm, you could probably throw a tennis ball. And you guys were in that close proximity, and we had Patrick Greenaway before he emigrated also operating there. How have you found the overlap? Is there an overlap? Is there enough business? Do you have to fight each other for business? What's been your experience in the 13 and a half years that you've been with us?
honestly, in all these years, I don't think I've actually met someone who has actually communicated with Trevor. If it is, might be initial stages, or they've been to a seminar, but generally we haven't, the clients or prospects haven't been with another coach or spoken to Trevor, or they've spoken to me, or whatever the case is. So even though we were in close proximity, if we had a seminar and Trevor had a seminar, there were different people there because we are marketing to a different, we've got a different database. For example, we might have got the people that attended from different sort of marketing strategies that we've used. But there is more than enough for everybody. I mean, if you just take Westville alone, there's over 4,700 businesses. I can't coach that many, and my business is more predominantly one-on-one clients. So there are only 8 hours in the day. The brain is a muscle, it needs a rest. So I coach 5, maximum 6 clients in a day on 3 days a week. So that's only 18 clients. I have my group coaching on a Monday and a Friday, 18 clients. If I just walk down the road, there's more than 18 businesses. So it will be years before, I don't even think we could ever saturate the market at all. And I mean, even when I think you did an exercise the one summer, walked around Westville Park and said, have you heard of ActionCOACH? And they said, no. Meanwhile, the sign is right up on the corner of that building, and they didn't even know ActionCOACH was there. So that was a shocker of note. And I found that, you know, with coaching, and it was spoken about earlier, is that it's still a very new concept. And so a lot of coaching is seen as consulting until they become clients of ours and then realize it's actually a lot deeper than that. It's transformational. It's not transactional. We make significant difference in people's lives. And there's a dime a dozen of entrepreneurs to coach, but they may not be in the right headspace. You can throw as many lifelines as you like out there and say, we can actually help you have more time, help you have more money, help have quality of life, and they won't believe you, or they've been burnt before, or whatever the case is. So fortunately, for the years I've been in ActionCOACH and really got my name out there, I'm very fortunate. If I look just in January, I had 3 clients approach me, prospects approach me to do coaching. That is the epitome of what you want for marketing and sales. They pick up the phone and phone you, but it takes time. It's not who you know, but who knows you. And that's, again, building communities, making sure that you network with the right people that align to your value system, and they understand what you do, and they will refer those prospects to you, businesses to you. Again, you've got to find what your niche is and where you love to play. Because I love doing service type business. I do family business, I do franchise business, I do retail, manufacturing. It doesn't matter what business it is, but it's more the individual, it's the entrepreneur and what is important for them. And if they're sitting in a fear zone and not in a learning zone, it's very difficult to coach them. So through our coaching sales process, it's like a deselection process. No use being coached by a coach if you're not wanting to do change and make change. You know, the question there Monique asked about how long are you coach for? Again, it depends on your relationship. It depends if there's a connection. So even if a client or prospect spoke to all 3 of us, they will choose the coach that best fits them and the coach that resonates with them. But the beauty is, had they gone to any of the 3 of us, they would have got significant results. Why? Because we pull from the same system, the same tools, the same methodology. Our approach may be different, but the results will still be significant. And that's the big thing, is that connection with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So just as it's not the South African market, but the UK market, the tiny little island of the UK, ActionCOACH has been there for 20 years. They got 250 coaches on the ground. And on a study that they did in late 2019 into early 2020, there was less than a 1% awareness for the brand in the UK after 20 years and 250 coaches. The reality is there is more than enough. But Marlene made some very valid points that, you know, people must want to change. Everybody will bitch and moan about their health at some stage or their weight. Do they actually want to do something about it? everybody will bitch about their boss, but will they really make the leap to buy their own business? Everybody will bitch about their business, but will they do something about it? So it's always that, which comes first, the chicken and the egg. And a lot of the questions, we'll deal with some of the others coming through. It is a bit of a how long is a piece of string, because it is variable. So let's maybe go to T. Liebenberg's first question. On average, how many clients do you coach per month? So there's different programs. Trevor and Marlene have referred to them. There's different focus. Some will have more one-to-one, some will have more group. But maybe just one word answers at the moment. How many clients are you coaching? So let's start with you, Trevor.
Let me just unmute there. Yeah, so one to, I don't know if my stats in front of me, 1-to-1 or 10 right now.
And group?
Group 20. Some of the guys in the group are doing one-to-one as well. So what I do is, so some of my one-to-one clients, I only work with one-to-one. And a lot of them quite like to come to the group sessions as well, as a way of networking and as a way of learning more.
Okay, perfect. So 10 one-to-one, 20 group. Shirley, what is it for you?
I am looking at about 22 one-to-ones. I don't do group, I just do one-to-ones. And I think I'm just looking at about 22 at the moment, one-to-ones. And then my team, obviously, they are coaching, a lot of them are groups at this stage, as well as one-to-ones.
Okay. Marlene, you alluded to the fact that, one-to-ones, Monday, Tuesday to Thursday, groups a bit on Mondays and Fridays. So what's your number?
Yeah, so about 15 one-to-one clients, half are probably weekly and the other half are alternate weeks, because it depends on which program they're on, whether it's startup, step-ups, power-up. And then I've got 2 group coaching clients. One is actually part of a funding group for beneficiaries. So I do that separately, and that's my giving back to the community, and just to make a difference there. And then on the other side is another group coaching that I've got, and then that's combined with, we've got 2 different group coaching. We've got an action club and we've got a mentor club. So mentor club is more deeper, taking what they've learned from the group coaching and bring it to a much deeper level of understanding. And also they get part group, part one-on-one. So pretty much though, income wise, 70% of my income comes from one-on-one clients. I'm very fortunate that I've got some very nice businesses that are willing to invest in their business and into themselves. So I'm very fortunate that I only have to coach a few people and I can still be in the top 100, for example, because that means a lot for me, for my credibility with an action coach, for example. So it just depends what's important. Groups, what's nice is we can just add in more. So the one we're going to do going forward from March, we'll just add in another 10. So we can do 20 in a group, 30 in a group, depending what is best fit for you and what you feel you can perform at your optimum as a coach.
Perfect. Good. So just quickly for Eric, your question, very valid one. We don't have a coach in Rustenburg. I've been trying to convince an ex-colleague of mine for a long time to get out the corporate world and join ActionCOACH. He hasn't. So if you've got any referrals, you're welcome to send them our way. Closest coach to Rustenburg would be Pretoria. So we've got a range of good coaches there. One in Silver Lakes, it's quick down the Platinum Highway. So that would probably be the best bet. So if you'd like, Eric, I'd gladly put you into contact with Dani, and you guys can talk around that. I think Michael's question is a good one, because around, please advise on international coaching boundaries. Now, yes, Zoom has opened up the world a little bit. Yes, your franchise agreement actually says you're the province you live in, but there's some realities, and there's also the world is your oyster versus what happens at local fronts. So maybe Shirley, from your perspective, because you've got you and you've got the team, and you don't live where you actually coach. So how have you found the last 2 years, the globalness of what the world presents versus the relevancy locally? What's your experience there?
Yeah, it's like chasing chickens. You got to home in on which one you're going to get, So I think that there's a danger in trying to chase too many things. I think that you've got to make up your mind as to what you want to do, which models, which kind of groups, what type of coaching you want to give. And then you channel your resources into making that happen. So obviously on the international front, yes, of course, we can coach internationally. We do that. And it's, of course, over Zoom. I myself have an international action coach. But at the end of the day, you know, you're going to have to invest a whole lot of resources out there to go and get, if you're only going to go out for the international market. And make no mistake, you're going to go into competition in the international market. Now, you, as an action coach, you're absolutely up to the competition, but best you have quite a bit of money, because the action coaches alone, let alone other coaches that are involved in other groupings and stuff, they're spending a considerable amount of money looking for clients, you know. So you know, if you wanted to build an international business, you can do that, but it's going to take a lot of resources and time and effort, and that's going to be your focus. Obviously with COVID, what's happened is we've become much more flexible really in terms of online coaching. My experience of online coaching is that it tends to be really good transactionally. I think it has limitations when it comes to more the transformative type of coaching. That's just been my experience in terms of it. And what I found in my own practice, what's happened is that I'm predominantly in person because that's the model I choose to do. But that's not to say I don't do Zoom coaching. I do a fair amount of Zoom coaching. Often it's just convenient for a client, or it works for a client, or, you know, something's happening. So we interchange backwards and forwards in terms of it. So at the end of the day, you can, as Marlene said and Trevor said, you can choose the type of practice you want to build, and you will find clients that resonate with that, where that works for them. It's convenient for them to be on Zoom, not to come to an office, that kind of thing. And then there'll be others who are just like, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I'm going to invest. I want to have that interaction. So really it's a case of choosing which way you want to go. But there is a danger in trying to choose or trying to chase too many opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I agree with what Shirley said right up front. I remember a client, not a coach, client, thinking, oh, the world's my oyster. And they started paying pay per click, and they started social media advertising, paying in dollars and trying to compete. And they quickly realized, no, it's much easier to focus locally. It was hard enough to get a market penetration here, let alone the lack of focus globally. So it does depend around your chosen kind of focus. You know, just quickly, some of the questions, so we can just honor the question at least. You know, the budget for coaching, it depends on the program. 1,000 Rand, they start at. Group coaching, anything between 3,500 and 5,500. One-to-one coaching, anything between 9 and 20, 30, 40,000 Rand a month. So it does depend on the program. And although there's a recommended minimum, many of the coaches here, because of the seniority and the value that they add, charge way more than even the recommended prices that we have. And rightly so, because they've got a decade plus of experience. And that feeds into the return on investment discussion, which we can have. You know, how long is a piece of string? It does vary quite broadly from, you know, very little ROI or long runway to return money through to, you know, returning money. The top coaches return their franchise fee every second or third month. So it does depend on how you look at that. But very little cost, high margins, you know, that speaks for itself. So that we can still finish on time, maybe for each of you as a wrap up, if you were having to do this all again, go back, I know it's a long time ago, go back to where you were and looking and saying, okay, I want to leap from where I am and I want to become an action coach. What advice would you give to somebody listening to this today going, yeah, I buy into this. I can see myself doing this. I can think I'll be good at it. I like what you're saying, but it's still a leap of faith. I still have to trust myself. I still have to invest money. What would be your advice to me listening to this today? So let's start with you, Trev. What would you say?
Yeah, I think it probably resonates with, it's a similar question with any business. I think in particular with this, there's two things. The first one is be comfortable to do the work. What I find, a lot of people think that what we do is very easy. And in fact, coaching is actually quite easy. the coaching, we can help clients quite easily and help people get results. We've got a great system. The tough part of the job is especially early on, is finding clients, getting your head around it. I found that was a transition for me. It was, my old business, I was selling the company and my design team and our pedigree, and now suddenly you become a coach, you become the product, which is a mindset issue that I know a lot of coaches wrestle with. So getting going, it's about the first year or two in particular, it's a lot of hard work getting out there. I mean, I remember when we started, and Marlene will probably back up on that, is nobody had heard of us. If you think the market awareness now is low, back then nobody had heard of us. So it was knocking on doors, telemarketing, cold calling. People thought we were Action Cricket and no idea what we did. So, and even now, even as a good head of steam, it's still really hard getting going. You got to really be prepared to do the work. So make sure you sort of take a long, hard look at yourself and sort of say, am I prepared to put myself out there? As I say, become the product, get out there, speak to your friends, speak to your network, spend money on advertising, do the activities, because activities get the results. So that's the first one, is don't assume it's going to be easy. And then the other one is everybody's got results in different ways. We've seen people that come out of training and 3 months in already banking a level that we call emerald, for instance, and shooting the lights out and getting trophies and awards, and others that are steady, and it takes 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years to get to that level. So I think, and that's the one I think that resonates with any business. When you're launching a business, do your budget, do your cash flow forecast, and however much, what do you call it, startup capital or operating capital you think you need, double it and add on a zero. And I'm teasing, but obviously any business, like Mike Abel, one of our speakers at a conference, was speaking about recently, you got your plane taking off, and the last thing you want to do is run out of runways. So make sure you got a budget, a war chest, let's put it aside, because it costs money to get this business going, not just the franchise fee. You need a marketing budget or a team budget, however you decide to structure the business. So be very clear on that to not run out of cash, because that's tragic. Then you're having to do things the hard way. Those are my 2 things. Perfect.
Marlene, for you, what would your advice be? Somebody's thinking, do I do this? Don't I do this? What advice do you have for them?
You have to go into, don't go in for the money. You've got to go in for the actual making a difference to other people. You have to have a bigger purpose than yourself. The other thing as well is, because there's just so much information and the community within Action Coach is so strong, there's many voices. So all the coaches want to help and give advice and coach and suggest. And you think, you listen to this one and then this one says something else and you think, my God, what do I do? There's just so much support. I mean, we're going through, hours, if you put it together, training, online, do this, books, videos, you name it. There's like a wealth of information. And you have to just sit and listen to one voice and choose who that voice is. And that's the voice you go, because also follow the effing system. And that's the words I use, is follow the effing system. Because if you follow the system, you will get results. And that is the big thing. So that's why every new client you bring on, you go back to basics. You bring all your clients that you got back to basics again. Get a new client, go back to basics. That's all. Action Coach is simple. It's not easy. And the not easy part is aligning your head and your heart. That journey between your head and your heart is the longest journey when you're an Action Coach. I only became in my flow 2 years ago. That's how long it's taken me to get to where I am today. And I still have perturbation 14 years down the line. But I love the pain, because the glory that comes from that is you can't get it anywhere else.
Sucker for punishment. There we go. Good. Final words, Shirley, from your side. What would your pearls of wisdom?
I think do your homework, obviously, and make the decision of whether you think that this is something you'll love. So are you prepared to put in the hard work? Are you prepared to push through it to get to where you want to? It's a startup business. Startup businesses, you'll see even when you're coaching, it's a journey. So do the homework, make a decision. It's not about your skills. I've seen coaches come on, they have so much knowledge, so much skills, and they haven't necessarily made it. And I've seen other coaches come on who haven't had the skills, haven't had the experience, and they've done so well. So the difference is, you know, Marlene says the head and the heart. Make the decision in your head and your heart that this is what you want to do, and then make the decision in your head, and then just go for it. Then it's a journey. You knuckle down. Don't be thrown off your game. Don't be thrown off your course because things aren't working out beautifully. You know, as Marlene says, you get lots of coaches, lots of advice. You know, when I bring in a new coach, I'm like, stay in your lane. I say, Shirley, what about this? I say, no, stay in your lane. And once you're making it in your lane, then you can go into any damn lane you like, but you first make it in this lane. And so that's really what it is. It's you know, it's something that you really feel passionate about. If you have that passion, then it's a decision, and then it's a discipline. There is a discipline in terms of how you do this. You know, a lot of our clients, our clients are phenomenal business people, but left to our own, we all lack discipline. So it's one of the things that coaching, obviously the value that coaching brings is the discipline. And if you're not going to have the discipline, it's kind of going to unravel from there. So it's about the discipline. The results will follow. The results will follow. So yeah, and it's a great journey. It's a great journey. If you make the decision and you go for it, you'll never regret it.
Brilliant. So to Shirley, to Marlene, to Trevor, you know, as you would have seen throughout the last hour, you know, fundamentally amazing human beings, real people delivering real results on a scale, you know, unimaginable. And you know, never mind what we saw through the looting and the rioting, or when we went into COVID, having watched this journey of every one of you for more than a decade, you know, you've literally each impacted thousands and thousands of people. And that impact has massive ripple effects. So, you know, we are all on a mission to make a significant impact in the country we so dearly love. And our chosen route is probably, in our opinion anyway, the most effective one, is to impact businesses that will, you know, provide more income, provide more jobs, provide more services, provide more value. And in doing so, if we all do our bit, we have a greater impact to make. And you all do your bit every single day. So thank you for being abundant with your time today. And for everybody else having listened in, you know, this is a relatively simple business, but it is still a business. And business has challenges, business takes work. If it is the type of business that you think you'll be good at, yeah, then we're here to talk. And if not, that's also good. Send clients our way so that we can impact their businesses. Because if we impact their businesses, we know we impact lives in the same process. And if anybody's anywhere near KZN, of your friends, your family, you know, these are the 3 best people to contact, and they will guide you through that journey. So really appreciate your time, everybody. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of the week. It's already the 1st of February. Best we make hay while the sun shines. Time's running out. Enjoy. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Bye.